Hey there, dudes and dudettes. It's little old me, and today I want to talk to you in Man Dog Wisdom about the wisdom of taking a moment before making snap decisions. We live in a world where it's almost obligatory to make decisions as soon as you hear the problem and always to try to think of what's the solution? What's the solution? So here's a little wise advice from someone who's been around the block thousands and thousands of times. First of all, and I'm stealing this line from Thomas Sowell, who is my favorite living economist and personal hero, by the way. But having said that, it's just so true. There are no solutions. There are only trade-offs. So every time you make a choice to do anything, you're going to cause a consequence by what you're doing. So, for example, and this is a really huge example. Well, no, let me bring it down to your daily life. Let's say you make a decision to quit a job because you're angry in the moment. Is that always the best decision? That's too simple. You know, I didn't prepare an example in advance. Let me use a historic example that's really kind of huge. Woodrow Wilson caused the Holocaust. He caused the Holocaust by deciding to come in on the side of the British and the French in World War I, a war where we had absolutely no national interest. And I'm sure he didn't set out to cause genocide. In fact, he was the first president to ever appoint a Jew to the Supreme Court, although he was a crazy racist and supported the Ku Klux Klan. But somehow he had a tolerance of Jews, if not a love, and he appointed Louis Brandeis, the first Jewish justice to the Supreme Court. So do I think that he set out to cause the Holocaust? No. But by doing what he did, he caused an upset in the balance of power, causing World War I to come to a quick end in the favor of the Allies, an unfair peace imposed upon the Germans in the Versailles Treaty, and then by direct consequence, Hitler. Now, it's not necessarily true, I should say, that every decision you make is going to end up in a Hitler Holocaust situation. But think of how many times in your life you've made a decision to solve something and it's ended up going right in the shitter. And what would have happened? A good example in the current events stage would be Ukraine. Immediately, I didn't, because I was a Russian linguist at the National Security Agency and I speak Russian and I'm a student of Russian history, so I didn't fall into this trap. But as you know, it was overwhelmingly popular for a split second, and every politician jumped on the bandwagon to send the troops into Ukraine. Now, they've been fighting that war for, Jesus Christ, going on 2 years, and so far they've gotten to exactly where they started. The Donbass is still in Russian hands, the Crimea is still in Russian hands, and they are not going to throw the Russians out. So in other words, hundreds of thousands of lives have been lost on both sides to get to exactly where we were, if we would have made the decision to keep our nose out of it, we'd be exactly where we are. We accomplished nothing. This brings me to the central tenet of Taoism. Taoism. It looks like Taoism, but it's pronounced Taoism. And the founder was Lao Tzu. I've talked about him before, but I want to reiterate this in this context. The central tenet of Taoism, which was founded 600 years before Christ, is, it is better to do nothing than to be busy doing nothing, which is a fancy way of saying don't fuck things up by making decisions, or, as I like to say, and I've taught my children this, and I tell this to my friends all the time when they're faced with a problem, whether it's at work or personally, or they're facing a quandary just about life in general. When in doubt, do nothing. Just let nature work its way out. It'll be less stressful. Turn the other way. Let it go. Don't engage. You know, unless it's life or death, it really doesn't call for a decision in the moment. Even if a decision is called for, you can always take time to think it through. Think of how many times in your life you would have been better off if you would have said, you know, before I answer what we should do about this, maybe we should just think about it for a minute. So that's my advice for today. For Christ's sake, think about it for a minute. That's it. Oh, by the way, go to the 1964plan.org. Be sure to check out everything. I've added a white paper on anti-politism, my plan for a republic by selection, not election. I think you'll find it very, very interesting. Anyway, that's it for today. Have a wonderful day. Like the video if you think about it. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.